Hey guys, it's Michelle Pippin, and I'm so excited to have Timorah Beales of TimorahsBealesPhotography.com. Her website, because you're not going to be able to sound it out, is going to be right here below the video, but also on the transcript. But she is one of the WOW members that I have loved the most from the first day that I met her. She's in the military and married to the military, although I don't think you're still officially married to the military, right? Because he retired.
Oh, and he retires March 1st.
Okay, so she's still officially married to the military, mother of two, and a world-class photographer. What makes her world-class is not only does she have an eye for photography, but she has an uncanny ability to just bring out the best in whoever she's taking a picture of. And she also has an MBA and an incredible knack and just spot on intuition about business, not just the business of photography, but just business in general. She's just so full of wisdom, and I'm really excited to have her here with us for this Women Who Wows Practical Profits interview series. I know that I'm going on and on here about Timorah, but this business of photography stuff doesn't just help her grow her own photography business. She also works with a lot of business owners, and her photography helps them grow their business. So she totally rocks. I'm humbled to have her as a member, but also as a friend and one of my core confidants and advisors in business. So welcome, Timorah. I'm super glad that you agreed to do this with us.
Thank you, Michelle.
I'm so glad to have you here. And I just wanted you to kind of tell whoever's watching this a little bit about your business and what you accomplished in 2016.
Okay. I think one thing that kind of defines me a little bit differently than most photographers that you would think of is that while my industry, people typically work alone. They're sole business owner. They do everything from all of the admin, they do all of the photography, all of the editing, all of the business stuff, everything. And I figured out a few years ago that was incredibly inefficient and also very stressful and less profitable, to be honest. And so I started building a team of other photographers who maybe either didn't want to own their own businesses and just wanted to be photographers. And then I, of course, have a studio manager, or as we call her, our client happiness manager. And we rock and roll, and it's been a journey, but it's been so wonderful having that. And we just get to even have different types of expertise within our group there. So it's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. I really love that about you. And you're always thinking bigger in photography. And one thing that I've learned about sort of most photographers is as the pressure came on, like with the little, everyone has a camera on their iPhone, as that pressure came on, they kind of shrunk a little bit, right? So a lot of photographers started shrinking their prices and shrinking back and feeling like it's not a good industry. And you've just gone on and you've taken new ground and you've started to provide opportunities for other photographers, and you haven't shied away from commanding professional fees for your professional work. And I just love that. And I talk about you a lot when I'm speaking to different organizations, because I think people often will blame their lack of success or lack of results they're getting on the industry they're in, or changes that have, impacted. And you're not immune to that, right? Like, you've been impacted, certainly, and yet you've not used it as an excuse to kind of shrink back or close your doors or just become a hobbyist. You've actually grown more and more, even as others in your industry have found it very difficult to, frankly, keep themselves employed, let alone, start to employ other photographers. So I just think that's so amazing. And I didn't know if you have something. You've also opened up a new brand, right, this past year. And so that's fun. But I didn't know if you want to tell us a little bit about that, but also maybe what you have planned for 2017.
Sure. Well, it's kind of an extension of the team concept. We have a lot of different areas of expertise, and I believe that the broader your offerings, the harder it is to establish yourself as an expert in each one of those. And so we started with offering our first sub-brand, which is specifically geared towards photographing women in any stage of their lives and for any need, because photographing adult women is different than photographing children or even men or families or any of that kind of thing. So that's the first one. And then in 2017, we're going to be looking into 2 more sub-brands. And that will basically encompass our totality of our offerings at this point. It makes it easier, with my business name being my name, it's easier for me to sell the photographers who work for me as experts in their own right and not just my assistants, if we're able to kind of put them up against one of these brands. So
that's awesome.
Some of the details worked on it yet, but that's the big thing that's going to happen next year.
That's awesome. I love that. And I look forward to that. So I was wondering if you could tell, especially coming from an industry that a lot of people have a difficult time making a great living in. And I was wondering if you could tell, a tip, a strategy, a tool, something that you've used or relied on to continue to grow in 2016 and then to continue to grow into 2017.
Some of it is just sheer will and being stubborn and
just grit.
When you are in a difficult industry, which, like you mentioned, it does have its impact. You can't excuse everything by saying that, right. But it does have its impact. And there have been times in the past where I've thought, am I doing the right thing by staying in this? So some of it was just kind of knowing what my vision was and making those course corrections as necessary, because you're not always going to get everything right first time, for sure. But then just surrounding yourself by the right people. As I've grown my team, whether they're my employees or just other experts that I've hired for one reason or another, everything from my accountant to other people who help me out, is just making sure that you have the right people doing the right jobs. Because when you don't, it makes everything so much more difficult. So don't be afraid to maybe use somebody else or change somebody's job description that better, suits what they're capable of doing for you. Because the more of that kind of stuff that you can put in great hands, the better I'm able to do the things that I'm really good at.
Right. So. Right. And I think that the two things, like the grit, the willpower, like gutting it out, refusing to quit, I think that's so amazing. And I see that a lot in sports, although I'm not a sports person, but my husband is. And, sometimes you look at teams or, in this case, look at businesses and they just refuse to lose, right? It's not so much about winning, although they win, but it's like they just have this grit that's not going to be defeated. And so I think that's so often overlooked in business today, because we have a lot of shiny objects and there's lots of different things that you can do, and so I think that's pretty huge, and also just that flexibility, right? So the course corrections, the not being tied into the different job descriptions you might give someone, kind of really looking at their skill set, and that's something that I've dealt with WOW recently. We just brought on a new person who's local who actually works with me in the office, and so it's been cool to be able to be flexible and to shift and make these things, make these course corrections that just keep you growing. Well, one more question, and obviously, we're thrilled to have you as a Women Who WOW member, and so I was wondering if you could tell, I know that you also belong to other groups, and so I'd love for you to just say, like, why you chose WOW and, why you're a part of this group.
Sure. So if you remember, Michelle, the first time that I sort of reached out to you, it was right before I moved to the Hampton Roads area from D.C.
Yep.
D.C. was where I started my business, and I had a lot of early success in networking. Unlike most people in my industry, I'm actually an extrovert, and I like being out and about and meeting people, and that did very well for me in D.C. So when I was going to move down here, I'm going to look for some people to network with, and came across some of the Women Who WOW stuff, and attended my first event in 2012, I think, and was hooked, not only because of the quality of the people who were there, but because the discussions that we had and the things that you would bring up were not just your basic entry-level business type stuff. It was no kidding. Every time we were solving problems and really thinking hard about things. And I love that kind of stuff, but I'm kind of a business nerd. So. Yeah,
me too, right? Obviously. That's so exciting. And I was talking to someone where I was being interviewed, and they were talking about WOW, and I said, we grew literally very deliberately, like print invite only, for like 2 solid years of monthly stuff, and no one came unless they had been invited with the print invite, and it certainly wasn't the fastest way to grow, right? I mean, we could have grown faster and had more people, and we were really deliberate because we wanted people like you and our other members to feel like they had found a place, right? That it wasn't the typical entry level kind of stuff. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate you, and taking your time to be here with us and share with other WOW members, but also just with anybody else who is watching these videos. We're going to be promoting them everywhere. And if you are watching this and you are a photographer, or you are in the Hampton Roads area, or willing to drive, because Timorah's work, one of the things that she said, one of the things that sets her apart, and she started talking about how she works with other people, but another thing that sets her apart is her actual work, her actual pictures. And so sometimes I think that goes, underreported, I guess, because people, who know Timorah know her amazing work. But her website will be right below this video and also throughout the transcript. So I'd love for you to take a look at her site, look at her work, and see what you can learn from her, and see how you can get on her calendar. And because she just produces amazing, amazing pictures, and I obviously need new pictures. I'm still using the ones you did for me. They're the best pictures ever of me, and I always think like we're not going to be able to top them, but I think I look different, maybe a little bit older now, and so I need to kind of jump back in your studio. But thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you on Monday.
Bye, Chelsea.
See ya. Bye.